Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Rob DeMartino and I want to introduce you to Beyond Functional Medicine. We started this a few years ago now because of basically a need we saw in the marketplace. And really I had no intention of starting any kind of coaching or teaching how to do all this stuff. This was really designed to be done in my office. This is the way that we practice in the trenches every single day. These are the patients that we see. And it was really actually designed specifically because while I was in chiropractic school, my mom came out, I started chiropractic school in September. My mom came out in December for Christmas time, and they sat me down at the table, and my mom told me that she was diagnosed with leukemia. And at the time, it was such a shocking thing and a shocking revelation, but I had this full faith that in natural medicine, she would be able to do so much better. And the type of leukemia that she had would have like an 8-year life expectancy. And in that time frame, I said, don't worry, we're going to get you with the best doctors. I got her with cancer specialists out here in Nevada where we live, and I got her with a chiropractor out here as well too. I searched around, found the guy who I thought was the best chiropractor for her, started treating her, and I wish I had a happy portion to the story, but she started to not really do well. Her health really started to plummet really violently, and there was no way we were making 8 years. We weren't even going to come close to that. And kind of arrogantly, to be honest with you, I was like, well, once I get out there, once I finish school and I get out there, my chiropractic is so great, I'm going to be able to help her and do all these things, and that'll make all the difference. Well, I came out here and I started treating her, and unfortunately, it was a lot of the same outcome. So what ended up happening was I started to search. I just started to fly all over the place. Luckily, my wife is very cool. She let me travel all over the world and look at different ideas of what people were doing in healthcare. And I didn't really care what it was. I didn't care if it was American functional medicine or German biological medicine. I've been to seminars on dentistry. I've been to medical doctor seminars. I've been to chiropractic seminars. And I've spent a lot of the time in the quantum physics world learning from what physicists are looking at from a biology, how you apply physics in the biology of the body. And everything I did was to treat her. And I had started this practice, and I was seeing patients chiropractically, and I was very fortunate that I was able to build myself a nice chiropractic practice. And as I was going through, I learned all these things. I had all these different treatment options, but I wasn't using them clinically. I was just using them with my mom. I was just treating her kind of on the side. And as it starts to happen, you start thinking to yourself, hey, who else could benefit from this would be this patient. And who else needs this? It would be this patient here as well too. So we slowly started incorporating all of this stuff into the clinic. And then I decided one day, kind of just woke up and realized I'm not really happy with what I'm doing. I was seeing a bunch of chiropractic patients. I loved them all. I enjoyed it. But I was burning out, and I was burning out really quickly. And I knew that mentally I was burning out, and physically my body was going to start breaking down. And I was pretty young at the time. I was like, how am I going to do this forever if my body is already starting to hurt this bad after seeing this many patients? And I really had something deep down inside of me that kept saying, I needed to be helping really sick patients. Like that was what my calling was. I didn't get into all of this just to help back pain patients, even though I've had back pain and it's really not fun to have it and it's really nice when it goes away. I got into this to chiropractic, especially for the bigger picture of the power that made the body heals the body, and that in natural healing that our bodies are self-healing and self-regulating ideas. And it just wasn't what I was seeing in practice because my mom was getting chiropractic care, but her immune system was still not very good. The diabetic patient was feeling better, but they were still diabetic. The autoimmune disease patients were doing better, but they still had autoimmune diseases. So it was like, why isn't the body healing this? Like, why isn't it fixing? So I decided to transition my entire practice over to basically bring in all the different techniques that I use in order to treat chronic disease patients. Well, I learned a lot of really hard lessons doing it that way. It cost me a tremendous amount of time. It cost me an even larger tremendous amount of money in mistakes that I made in trying to build and put this together. And even when it was working, I lost my freedom. So I was exhausted now from a totally different perspective because I was putting all of this energy and effort into every single patient, and how well they got depended upon my FaceTime with them and how good my clinical skill was to get their nervous system upregulated, to use lasers with them, to get them on the right nutrition and muscle testing, a million different things per visit. It wasn't a really efficient methodology to practice. So now, even though I was making ends meet, I was mentally exhausted, and you'd finish with a half hour with a patient, like, my gosh, I'm so tired, and you look and you got 3 more people waiting for you that by the time I got home, I just looked at my wife and kind of smiled and would wave. I had nothing left. And on the other side, monetarily, it was hurting me because now I was spending so much time with each patient. Yeah, well, I was getting great results with them. It wasn't a conducive way to really practice from a financial standpoint because I was very much limited on how many patients I could see, how much I could charge, and how much money I could ultimately make, which unfortunately, while this is really all about helping patients, this is what feeds my family as well too. So I had to come to a pass, and it's a great thing looking back on it now. Everything happens for a reason. Just sometimes in that moment we don't understand why it happened. So a lot of these lessons and hundreds of thousands of dollars lost, made in mistakes, came back, and it allowed me to kind of create this system that would still allow me to get great clinical results. Some of the better around that I've seen from around with every other doctor that we went through to look at. We wanted to play on a different level. We were really looking to really impact people. We were really looking to impact healthcare, to try to make sure that we could get a different vibe for the entire healthcare world, where we really wanted to make an impact and change healthcare kind of globally, moving it more towards this natural perspective and away from obviously pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. And also, I have 3 little kids. How do I get time to make sure I spend time with my family as well too? Because you don't get that time back as well. So we created basically a system that allows us to do all of those things, where we can have a lot of the things that we do clinically be automated by staff, by technology, by different systems that we built in, which built me in a tremendous amount of freedom. Now, I've taken that time and freedom to spend it with my family, but it also allows me to do so much more research and then pile back in so that we can keep refining all of these treatments, refining all of these systems, look at all these different technologies and vet which ones are the real deal and which ones are just expensive, paperweights that hold your desk down in case gravity decides to give out, which I've got a lot of those. So the reality of it is all of this is, you could figure all of this out. It just takes a tremendous amount of time and effort. How do you do functional medicine with complicated patients in a way that makes sense business-wise and in a way that makes great sense for getting the patient really well? And if you can do those 2 things, the world kind of stands still for a moment, and you get to kind of bask in the glory of all of those things. And that's what we managed to put together. It hasn't been an easy road, and that's ultimately why we show people how to do this. So I started out just saying, hey, you want to see what we're doing? Come check out our clinic. Come hang out in our clinic, and you're certainly still welcome to do that. But in order to get people designed to where we can get doctors trained up to where they have the certainty and understanding, we find that one of the biggest problems now is we're still all stuck in a very biochemical model of how the body works. Do this different chemistry, balance this out, run this lab work, run $4,000 to $6,000 worth of lab work, that you don't see $1 of, and the labs get rich, and the patients don't like it because, labs don't get anybody better. Truthfully, they're helpful, but they don't really get anybody better. How can you do this to where it makes sense in a system that allows patients to get better? So that's what allowed us to move a little bit more out of the biochemical model. We've implemented some ideologies and some physics applications of the body. I'm telling you right now, physics is going to be the next generation of healthcare from a biology standpoint. Physicists and biologists don't really like each other, so they tend not to talk. But that's going to be really the next generation. The more that we start to understand about all of these things, the more that we can apply those ideas to the body and really exponentially grow the healing capabilities. It's still important to balance out their biochemistry. But if you really want to play on a level with things like neurological disorders or autoimmune disorders, if that's really tugging at your heartstrings and that's really the type of patient base that you want to help, and you can do this alongside with your regular practice as well too, but if you've got those patients who are already in your clinic now who are looking for help and have nowhere to go, if there's something deep down inside of you that's saying, I need to help on a bigger scale, I can do more, I can serve more, I can be more, then this might be something that you want to look into, and we'll certainly like to help you put that all together. So feel free to check out all of our resources, check out our other different videos. We have a lot of videos that gets into some of the explanations about how we treat, and hopefully this will be a fit for you, because what we really want is to change healthcare, and the best way that we can do that is to help you guys go out and help more people. If we start getting these results, then they're not going to be able to overlook us anymore. And this is going to be the standard of care that's for every type of patient out there. And natural medicine can finally sit up atop of the crown where it so rightly deserves to be. So hopefully we'll get to see you there. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and talk to us.